What is going on, everybody? Is Antonius DaGamer here with Mykale Smith, Super SSS Rank with the Press Start Select podcast, back for another episode. Fellas, how we doing tonight? How we doing?
Good.
Good. I'm happy to see some games announced.
Boy, a lot of games announced. We have a lot to talk about, thankfully, right before the year caps off. Some house notes for those who are checking in for the podcast. This will be our last official podcast episode for the year. That's not to say we won't be doing any other type of content leading up to 2025. But if you're looking for an episode next week, we will be enjoying the holidays just like you should, whatever that may look like for y'all. So just so y'all know, there will be no new episode next week, and we will be resuming this back in the new year. That being said, I did give my word that the next time we recorded an episode that I would start off with a comment that was presented to all three of us. So let me go ahead and fish up that comment real quick. Okay. I'm going to leave the name out of this, obviously, the person, but thank you again for the comment. They said, "Why so careful and apologetic? You guys are doing the Jon Stewart light touch approach to the conversation. Sweet Baby Inc. was a pandemic era style grift, and it does not deserve any success for that welfare approach to creative contributions. The question we should be asking is why can't they, or us black people, have our own game development studio? Why do we always need they to give us our value and acknowledge us? Otherwise, good show." So, do any of you gentlemen want to address that question first?
I'll go first. First off, I think it mostly narrows down to startup capital, because startup capital, first of all, like you got to build it from the ground up. And this is why industry building is such a very hit and miss. It requires so much attention, so much support, because if you're literally starting over from fresh, what are you pulling from? Who are you going to hire? What are you going to put out? What is the cost of these things?
Mm-hmm.
And who are your investors, and what are your investors looking for? And then, to be honest, you got to even say it out loud. What color are your investors? Because
Facts.
there's many quotes that are out there. Who funds you? He who funds you controls you.
As we've seen this generation,
and we've seen a lot of control, from particular parent companies about certain products that just go left away from the developers initial thought process. So I think it's startup capital and just resources, man, resources. And because I do feel it is time for I get it, we live in an intertwined world, but we also have to understand is in order to do yourself justice, you have to do it yourself. You have to do it yourself. And I do feel like, that better representation is actually needed. Because maybe if it was really truly built from the ground up from people who have a genuine understanding, I do feel like some of these releases would actually be much better in terms of quality. Even, exploring the different diversities of different black people. Because, there's multiple ways to be black. There's Gothic blacks. There's what you would consider traditional blacks, but then that could even range from where you're from. Because you got UK black, you got Canadian black, you got African black, you got Afro-Caribbean. There's just so many avenues that you have to really explore. But I just do still feel go back to the point where yes, startup capital, and how do you sustain this? Once you start it, how do you maintain it?
True. It's
question. And especially from what we've learned from a particular documentary about AND1, the pushback from other corporations.
Bro, that documentary was so heartbreaking. For all those who are listening and watching, if you guys were ever familiar with AND1, the basketball company, the street basketball company, it's on Netflix. It is one of the most eye-opening things you will see about what happens when the powers that be decide you're getting too much leverage.
Yes. and let's be honest here, bro. These companies are sharks, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Once they smell that blood in the water, or once they even see a healthy meal in the water, they are going to come for you.
Yeah.
In the most diplomatic way possible.
Yeah. It was.
So it's a lot of there's a high chance of failure. That's basically what it is. And I kind of feel like it's the easier route to just cling to what exists. And, because creating something is very scary, man, because like, will it be receptive to the public and will it be nurtured by the
Yes.
public? But, you just got to go forward, or else we're just going to keep playing the broken record over and over and over.
We'll keep asking the same question. We'll keep having the same talking points. We'll never get to an answer, and we'll just rely on like you said, the safe measures. And I think there is some truth that it's going to take a level of risk, a risk that may not immediately pay off or pay off at all. S Rank, what are your thoughts on the question that was posed? How do we
No,
make focus studios for minority groups, if that's even possible?
no, it's super possible. I think it's going to require more community work, versus one man being the forefront. It'll be many people with their projects coming together. We'll support this. We'll support this one for until this gets off the ground. Then we'll support you. It'll just have to be a table of circles to like you'll pass down. It'll have to be people with the common interest supporting each other, building a community first before money gets involved. Working out the financial groundwork, the capital. But there's ways to get that. We've talked offline multiple times. You already know my favorite saying. You already know my favorite clip in movies, my favorite meme. I'll do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, right? Because you're gonna get tired of asking for permission, right? If these people don't, I can find a stain in my favorite anime, right? I love Dragon Ball Z. Am I thrilled at how they portrayed some of the characters of color,
Right.
especially our characters of color?
Right.
When you can draw a Native American with accuracy, you can draw an Indian. I'll never forget when a lot of us, for whatever reason, Oob is black, Oob is black, Oob is black. Like they desperately wanted that character to be that. But when I started to pay attention, I said, no, Oob is. I noticed Oob wasn't black once I saw his village.
Mm-hmm.
He's of Arab, right? Majin Buu is an Arab concept introduced in Dragon Ball Z. He's technically a genie,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you look at Majin Buu is a genie,
Yeah.
or whatever he is.
A Jin.
Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Popo is a Jin,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how Jins are depicted and drawn. And so, you have enough of this pattern. Even with Taito Kubo, with some of the black characters and their transformations, you're like, yo, you had it until you didn't, right?
But you
So
did have
these
it.
things,
Because
yeah, you did
Tosin, it
have
does
it.
look fire. Like you
Yeah,
can't.
Tosin looks fire, but then when you see his ultimate pinnacle,
Mm-hmm. The
right, his
fly.
pinnacle form is, those are true. Like the story of Dark Moon, Dark Shine, right? We was like, oh man, this is dope until it wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for me, it's all up, yeah. Like look at Supreme Team, Supreme Dream.
Mm-hmm.
They got a con going on, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They found a way to make it happen, and yeah, supports, presence, and I think it all comes down to you just building a community first, man. I don't think it's impossible. It just has to get started.
Yeah.
Whether it be one man or a group of people, I think if you have more like-minded people in the room, that's how a village gets started. So one of them is going to know how to do this. One of them is going to know how to finance. One of them, I mean, how many of us know lawyers in
Right.
this chair? We know effective people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all about making sure we pitch a vision together collectively. And it's not built off of animosity, but it's built off of a consistent displeasure and portrayal. And we wouldn't be having these conversations if image didn't matter, right? Nobody would be getting mad at the later topics we'll cover,
Mm-hmm.
right? Nobody would be mad if it didn't really matter. It obviously does,
Right.
right? Portrayal does matter on both sides. So that's not even up for debate anymore. You can't, if you want to see why people get mad or why people don't have aren't favoring a certain decision that you made, but 100% I agree with Tim. I just think it's actually it's a lot easier now to get it done, man. It's a lot easier now to support a vision. I don't think it's impossible. I think people are waiting and people want. And once once someone decides to get going, hey, look at how this podcast came to be. It was passion for what we loved. Someone had the vision. They said, "Yo, why am I having these in-depth conversations through text?" And I felt these things were the universe couldn't think of any better concepts or rebuttals for some of the stuff that goes on in gaming media and
Mm,
anime.
mm.
And so, we come together. It takes that first step. Oh,
To further on your point, Jory, I also, and to touch back on community, that is also very, I would say, this is the dark side of thing. We also have very fragmented community because, due to societal pressures and, everybody's trying to be the it man. Like, oh, I want to be the one that stands out.
The forefront leader of this. Yes.
Yeah, I want my name here, right? And then that pride and ego hurts the greater vision on a collective scale.
Mm-hmm.
And that is also a thing that we have to really address, bro. Like
no, no, no.
fragmented
Yeah,
community.
100%. But the thing I fully believe if you expose those idea points, that it'll bring forth clarity onto what the vision is, or whenever a community is present. Some of these things you don't want to not mention, right? It's just like a relationship with a significant other. There's some things that you just can't leave up to assumption, right? You have to expose it. You have to let it be known. Hey, this is what I expect of XYZ. This is what we stand for. This is what we don't stand for. This is what I don't want. This is if how long will I allow this one flaw to be? And this is, these are the things that we conversate about. It's not even about, because for a fact, if we're going to build a community, it can't be a one-man show. Michael Jordan means nothing without the Chicago Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you understand what it takes to we have enough experience to see how where a game goes wrong, where companies go wrong, where churches go wrong, where friendships go wrong, but this is something that matters to a lot of people that care for. There's a lot of guy arguing those same points. And you'll be able to tell, if you'll make the vision so clear. Listen, if you're not okay with being a blade of grass or a pillar that can hold a highway,
This isn't
then
for you.
this
Yeah.
this isn't for you. We're trying to build a road. None of those pillars do we say don't matter. All of them do. If you move one, that roadway, especially over water, which is what a lot of us might be battling,
Mm-hmm.
not to drown, it's going to be problematic. I think when you don't expose those hidden things in the society, you exposing that, hey, we're fragmented, that is awareness right there in itself. That is a point of to now we can actually see what's in the room versus us going in the dark with flashlights and bumping into things and tripping over wires that the light bulbs that we have couldn't see. So we all collectively decide to point in one direction, our lights, and now we can mitigate that darkness together. I fully believe it's super plausible now more than ever.
I agree. I think, and
There is
it's
a dark side though.
yeah,
I
there's a dark
understand that.
side. I do want to give, because I agree with both of you guys on this. I think the thing that because I've given this a lot of thought since I said we were going to talk about this on the podcast, and it gave me a terminology that I'm just going to call the BET effect. So what I mean by the BET effect is you ask 10 different black people what is BET, and you're going to get 10 different answers more often than not. Part of the reason is because it's hard for one lane of something to be representative of, like Tim said, these fragmented communities. You do this for this people, but what about them? You do this for them, but what about them? And I think the issue that the gaming community is having, especially when it comes to minority highlighting, is what is, because something has to kind of start it. What is the forefront of this that appeals to enough people to get the other communities their spotlight? Right. So I use like an example of, like, for example, I bring this up a lot with the Miles Morales game, where it's like, yes, Miles is black and Puerto Rican, but that wasn't the forefront of the game of like how black and Puerto Rican he is, right? He just happened to be a kid who came from that heritage, who was in the superhero story, and we've embraced it. Now it's to a point where people are a little bit more open-minded to where these other superhero or just other minority-led stories might bring us. So I think when it comes to starting our own, I agree with both of you guys. I just think the issue that we have, especially in communities like that, is, to Tim's point, is that we don't give the people who are brave enough to start enough leeway to figure it out. Right? Like when we first started this podcast, one of the things we covered was, to your point, Jory, about what one of these girls who attended DreamCon had to say about how certain things didn't play out. And she was very critical, and all of her points were valid. Of all the things that she said, I stood in line for 45 minutes. I didn't even get to meet the creator I was in line for, so on and so forth. However, this is DreamCon number 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can guarantee you that Comic-Con had the same exact issues, if not worse, their first couple of years. I can guarantee you that all these things that we come to herald every year, the Grammys, the Oscars, the Emmys, have had critical issues that have kind of absolved themselves over time. We're about to talk about the Game Awards. Night and day from last year. Night and day.
Night and day. Night and
You
day.
know, so I think that's the thing that, to answer the question of the comment, and then we'll kind of move on, is like, I think we're all in agreement of this, of like, I think there just needs to be enough runway and enough grace given to allow some of these things to take off. Right? You can't just, it can't be like, well, if it's not right out the gate, I just won't support it at all. You know what I'm saying? Like the pink sauce lady didn't pan out for her. Doesn't mean that there shouldn't be more black innovators in the cooking industry making their own sauces. It's just she happened to not be the one, right? I think we would do ourselves a disservice of being like, well, we saw him with the pink sauce lady, can't support that again. It's like, you're not, you know, it's like you're not helping yourself in that way. So I think, you know, when it comes to our own studios and our own stories, I think this whole marriage of we need to go to the quote unquote other cultures for approval, I don't think that's necessary. But you want to do it in a way that is being able to be embraced by other people outside of us, because that's what's been happening with other things, right?
Yeah.
You said it many times on this podcast, Jory. We as a collective don't have an issue with Batman being white. It just is what it is. We enjoy his stories, we enjoy the characters, we enjoy the world. It's not about like, well, he was white, so I couldn't relate, you know? But I also have to be able to give that same level of, let me see how this plays out, to a Static Shock. I still have to be able to be like, let me take the village hidden in the cloud as seriously as I do the village hidden in the sand. You know, like we have to kind of give highlights to these moments of like, yeah, Bleach didn't get it right with black characters overall, but it was nice to see. We got somewhere, you know, like we
did.
there's a template. There's something here. It's a lot better than what we got in the 90s. So, you know, like I think ultimately that's the thing. And I hope that we're able to answer the question. And if not, you know, again, comment section is open. We just wanted to do something, at least to start off the show, to, you know, obviously acknowledge and show appreciation to the feedback that we get from our viewers and listeners.
I will say this, well, to close out this topic. You have to your point, and to add on to your point, we do have to cultivate a mental uh appreciation and a mental support. Doesn't have to be money, it can just be with it getting exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This thing got a million views in how many minutes? Things like that's a start. Right? So it's gonna inspire a lot. I do think just getting exposure, supporting in however fashion you can. Giving exposure, man, that's one of the first things that takes place for something like this. If we'll just have to purposely support. We'll have to support black folks who want to go outside the boundaries of creativity, who aren't afraid to tell stories that will gravitate everybody in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You need more of those guys at the forefront. That'll widen, and it'll benefit the stories that are very focused and the very stories that are out there as well. You just want to be able to tell a story without people having to put it in a box. We need to get to that point to where there's a variety of black folks that can tell a story. And of course, I always say, tell the story you want to tell. Of course, that's the first step. Then everybody else will eventually start to do things that are different.
Yeah.
You know, and that's fine. You know, I think there's a sister out there who has an anime Moesha. slice of life anime that's in her. She doesn't want to do uh television broadcasting. She loves anime media, but she's not a big action lady. She wants to tell data life stories, probably with one episode that's action based because of whatever's taking place in her life. But that's what there's women like that. I believe so, but they don't feel like they have a voice, or it's just so many that story's not going to exist without an action or a whatever story that's the best that it could be, right? I think what we suffer from, we need to make sure that when we tell a story, we tell a good story. The products just have to be good, man. And I think eventually, after time, in a short time, I really believe that, we'll have, the very thing he's asking for, we'll have that. And I don't think it's far off. I really believe that it's happening. We have more aware ears. And it's a good thing that people are a lot more sensitive to other people's issues. And I think it'll come into its own being, man. Just like with the DreamCon, it'll come into its own being. And just be ready to support and have grace. Give people grace to mess up. If you can, hey, your writing's struggling, your drawing's not that great. I know a guy who can draw just as good. And would you be willing? And that's
Right.
how you build, man.
Yeah.
It's not a one-man show. We can't afford to have one-man shows.
Yes. We're at
We
a
can't
point
afford to
now
have.
where, again, I think the opportunities that are being allowed to certain smaller groups, the general, especially given the economy overall, like you don't have as much leeway to kind of return a subpar product, and not because it focused on a particular group. It's just that's just the way it is with everything, right? That's been the constant lament of the industry this year that we talk about. Like you have studios closing left, right, and center because to these publishers and these funders and these investors, you returned subpar results through our eyes. But to move the conversation forward just a little bit, kind of in the same vein, we did see a topic in which there was a bit of anime controversy where the voice actor that plays the main character of Okaru on Dandadan ended up switching his profile Abby on his Twitter/X page to a black depiction of the character. The internet turned into a firestorm, and things surprisingly, right, to everyone's shock and surprise, got really racist really quickly. And essentially, in a nutshell, is it turned into one of those, hey, it looks like you guys keep blackwashing is the term that they use, blackwashing our characters. This character is supposed to be Japanese. We're tired. We, being whoever the we are tired of seeing the black cosplayers. We're tired of seeing the black depictions of these characters. Why don't
Really?
you make your own? Why don't you do your own? Why do you guys have to keep changing the ethnicities of these characters from what they're supposed to be to black? If we were to whitewash these characters or do something else to your characters, you would be upset. So why is this not an issue for you guys? So I'll kick off this. I think it's one of those things where they know the answer and they're either being willfully ignorant or just ignorant of, like, where there is absence, someone will create, right? So to me, it's like in an industry like anime, which, like Dory said at the beginning, there is such a lack of representation outside of that medium of characters of color, especially characters in a protagonist aspect. It's almost like you're being told of, like, hey, you can get invested in this world, get invested in this character. In fact, I want you to see yourself in this character, but not like that. So I'll leave it to y'all. What are your thoughts on? What are you guys' thoughts on this?
It's white supremacy when you really look at it. And when I say white supremacy, I mean in terms of East and West, like fair skin. Mm-hmm. The favor of the fair skin, because you realize there's people of color of multiple nationalities across the world. Mm-hmm. There's dark skinned Asians, there's dark skinned Indonesians, everything. And it goes back to what I said, bro. Like, this is society. This is a mirror of society, that there is an issue with different identities outside of the culture of dominance. Mm-hmm. When they see something like, hey, yeah, you could have done this, but not like that. It's oppression.
Mm-hmm.
It's oppression. That's exactly what it is. You don't have to tiptoe around it no more. This is what the world, we are still dealing with these issues of the world because it's the culture that is ingrained in so many people and has traveled from multiple generations to multiple generations. So that's why I've always said, like, hey, you know what? Do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do it yourself. Completely, in some form of way, alienate yourself. Create your own industries. Create your own production companies. And, if they want to take part in your product, they would have to, charge them just like how they charge us.
Mm-hmm.
Because look how many things have been stolen from us due to our inclusion.
Even in anime, how many Japanese characters have we seen with dreads? Or
Yeah.
white characters with braids? Or
Yeah,
them supporting a hip hop style, but they're white?
just taken. It's just taken because of inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
So you have left yourself vulnerable for them. And, because, even to go deeper, like, look, algorithms favor fair skinned people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, let's just say if there's a white European person who loves dance hall all of a sudden and becomes a choreographer, look how she would get more attention versus a native.
She's going to the talk show first, for sure.
Yeah, she could get all the sponsors, all the billboards, all of that stuff, and that's why people have to realize, like, yes, we may share one world, but the boundaries are not the same,
Right.
and you have to have a solid foundation for yourself, a solid foundation, a solid house for yourself, in order to weather the storm. Because if you're just left out in the open, you're just left out in the open, and people will just come and take.
Yeah. This idea of like they'll do right by me, like it's a little bit, you're a little naive in that way, is what I'll say. You're naive in that aspect.
Very naive, man. Because, and I kind of feel like, people get turned off by the fact of, like, just starting and doing stuff their own, because it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like as artists, you should also fall in love with that type of work. And remember, like how Joey said, it's not a one-man show. You can't look at it as just you.
Right.
So the dedicated team of people that you do have, be thankful for that. And we also have to fight our desire for instant gratification.
Yes.
We want things to be so microwave like that. But when you're not really understanding is, first of all, you're facing generations of economic brainwash,
Mm-hmm.
oppression, and so many other things. And, these are very heavy topics that a lot of people don't want to include in these conversations. But this is the reflection of the world that we live in.
Right.
It is a true reflection. Just like how we was talking about Stalker 2, like, man, how are you supposed to develop a game and you're in the middle of a war? Same thing with us. We're dealing with a different type of war.
Mm-hmm.
When you really look at it. So it's racism, it's classism, it's every other ism that you could possibly think of wrapped up in one.
I agree. I think it's something where, again, and that's why I use the word ignorance, of like, ignorance does not necessarily mean, it's been used in a bad term, but ignorance is not a bad thing. Sometimes you just don't know better. And then those that do know better are obviously trying to push a certain narrative. But it's one of those things where it's like, I understand that this whole idea of this racial inequality is a quote unquote uncomfortable conversation. But it, like you said, Tim, it reflects what's happening. If it wasn't if it wasn't reflective of what was happening, this wouldn't have gone viral. It wouldn't have been an issue if it wasn't what was happening. You guys would have been like, "Oh, dope drawing, 15-year-old. Let's keep moving." But we didn't.
Yeah, a friend told me once, a white and Chinese man could walk into any office and be able to do business. It's the truth, man. Mm-hmm. It's the truth. Mm-hmm. No questions asked. As long as you have the money to back you.
Yep. And listening and viewing audience, why do you think that is? What is your unconscious bias telling you? Think past your initial objections, your emotional objections, and think to yourself, why do you think that may be? Why did you resonate with what Tim just said? That's right. What are your thoughts on this? And we'll move on to much lighter things.
I want to make sure I'm very clear when I say this, because I don't want to give off I don't want to come off as insensitive to our people. I'm reluctant to say white supremacy for a couple of reasons. One, I just don't feel it doesn't give off the sum of the issues the way we would like it to bridge us to a concept. I don't think it does it in this for where we are now in as far as the internet, right? Like the word submissive being used to, to speak on a black woman, it doesn't come off as, even though the word is harmless in nature, because of the people that use it now, it doesn't have, it seems almost weaponized against a woman that they want, that they don't know how else to describe, that they want a companion that's graceful, if I'm making
Okay.
sense.
Okay.
Right?
I'm following you.
All right. So the reason why I'm not quick to say white supremacy, because for this one, I think you have to paint the picture a little bit more clear, right? The kid is 15 years old. What do 15-year-olds do? They create, they like to discover. Uh, Blackwashing, how much power does this image, which has absolutely no presence and would have absolutely no concept if the previous didn't exist, right? If Okurun is Japanese and we know that we're able to distinguish that this is a variation of that same character,
Mm-hmm.
uh, why would you just assume that this one image is going to rewrite your entire show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I will have to be very thorough to paint. I say, okay, listen, you're not observing things correctly. You're jumping to, uh, you're jumping to conclusions a little too. You're making conclusions, definite conclusions, too fast.
Right.
What else do you expect the cosplayer to do? Should I take my eyes sideways to dress up as an Asian man and paint myself white? No, I'm gonna cosplay in my natural skin tone and just alter it. Me dressing up as this character, I appreciate I appreciate what you're presenting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I like this world. I'm not gonna change the color of my skin. What else do you want me to do? If I were to dress up, if I like Wonder Woman and I'm a black lady, should I put on a different color foundation on my face? Would you find it to be offensive, or would you find it to be, oh wow, that's nice?
It
Yeah,
still kind of does go back to that though, because when you look at it, it's a culture of domination. So when they feel a separate force growing, they think of culture erasure. So that's why the pushback is just like, no, get out of here, get out of our space, or like have the mean girl say, oh, you can't sit with us, type of
Yeah.
vibe. It's like, yeah, it's like you see it in so many industries, man. Like once they feel like, oh, you want people to be inclusive because you want that inclusive money, but then
Yes.
you just rather that they weren't really a part of it, and that's very unfair. That's very, very unfair. That you want people's buy-in, but you just necessarily don't want them to be a part of it.
Right. Like I
And,
said, I
and
want you
when,
to see yourself in this, but not like that. Not like that.
yeah, and when you look at it, bro, it's still this, the same impacts of like history. Like it's still a very much still a segregated world. Like yes, you're able to roam to certain boundaries, but them same microaggressions are
Yeah.
still there, and some of them sometimes they've even evolved into new ways. Sometimes they're subtle, sometimes they're very aggressive, sometimes like how you said, they're ignorant. It's so many levels to it, but it's a simple fact that it is like that core framework is still there because it was never rewritten. It was never
Right.
rewritten. Like yes, some people in the past took some chips at it. They chipped up the foundation a bit, but it's the whole foundation never fell. It never
Yeah.
fell.
And to piggyback off that, I was going to say, Jory, I think the reason why phrases like white supremacy get used is unfortunately it's used in response to the reaction, right? Because I, and again, maybe I'm naive in this way, right? I'm like, I don't think the intent of the artist, the 15-year-old, was to replace Okarun with a black protagonist. I don't think the intent of the voice actor was to replace Okarun as a black protagonist, right? I think
yeah,
there's just, I love this character. Like you said, why would I take off my black skin just to show my love for this character, right? In an idealistic world, it's like, again, oh, that's a dope drawing, and we'll move on accordingly, as we usually do in these situations. However, when you see such an overly antagonistic response to something so innocent in intent, you start to think like, well, what reason could you possibly have to have this much pushback to this?
And I respond that way because it's better that I do so you can see things a little bit more clear versus just jumping, even though we may know, right? There has to be approach to these conversations. I found it to be more effective to kind of let things play out, let the water spill where it may, and if it hits a power line, I told you so. If that's making sense.
It's making sense,
I
but
understand that people they have a quick hey, knock them out, but it's a boxing match, and if I'm boxing, I prefer to use strategy, right, versus just going for the knockout. If even if I may have it, you follow. It's not me, and I don't want to make this the entire focus of the pod, but there's a reason why I just don't lean to I don't find it as effective in for people that you're going to argue with or you're going to have a discussion with, right? It's for those that haven't made a decision yet to kind of see the clarity back to, like, with certain things, just to see things play out, or see with this one. It's very more apparent that these people are like, yo, these guys are like, they're reacting, they're taking they're overreacting in the sense that you're drawing your conclusions from people who probably don't want to see this at all. So even though for the whole Yasuke thing, uh, going back to that, these people didn't utilize it, and they didn't do it the best. So therefore, now this kid who's drawing this image is paying for that.
of course,
You know what I'm saying? So, well, we can talk about it on another topic, but well, yeah, that's the reason why I'm very reluctant to say
no,
that.
and I think,
You
yeah,
know,
just in closing, I think, like I said, I think we're all within the same vein of, I think, again, in a more idealistic situation, you
yeah,
could have a more nuanced conversation about, okay, why was there such what seems like an unwarranted response to this art? But I think, to Tim's point, it's like it's the subtle microaggressions of like,
and
go make your own. Don't do it like that. Go make your own. It's like it's
but you need to see that. You
it's
need to see that it's like, yo, relax. You need to see that overextension in order to come to a conclusion. Because otherwise, if I overextend and you overextend, oh, okay. It's just war. You know what I'm saying? It gives it versus, the man who was abusing that lady, rightfully so, but she doesn't help herself when she uses the same rhythms, right? If it's like arguing with the fool,
I see what you're
you know.
saying, but I think it's a little more nuanced than that.
No, it definitely is,
And
but I
I
just
Yeah, I mean, I think we do need
okay.
to move on. I think that's what I'm saying. I think it's again, we're talking about the clash of what happens when sensible minds take place versus emotion. Like we've talked about with other topics of like, we talked about rage baiting, which we'll probably get into at some point inevitably, because that's just where the industry's at right now. Of like, you're letting your emotions just fuel you and fuel you and fuel you and fuel you. Right? Like you see an injustice from the judicial system, and your first response is to turn to vigilanteism. Right? That's your emotions talking. That's not a long term will make a change effect. And I think that's we're seeing more and more of that within these industries that we talk about. And yeah, I guess we'll just have to reapproach this at a different time. But I do think it's
Yeah,
something where it's like, to Tim's point, I think you use terms like that in response to what's being presented. We didn't initiate it. We didn't start it. We didn't scream and point the finger. Y'all used the term blackwashing, not me, not us. Y'all said it's a 1-for-1. That's not how I looked at it. We could have moved on 48 hours ago. you
yeah.
know?
We don't have. We're not gonna. There's nowhere in the world this 15-year-old's gonna get a collective people to go to. to go to Japan and beat up the people in the studio. Hey, draw Okurun black from
Right.
now on. It's just not gonna
Right. It's
happen.
just like
That's why I was like, okay, you guys don't realize that if somebody just goes straight to the point and say, yo, man, stop being racist, they have a valid reason for why they said that. Because what you're saying mirrors those that just jump to that conclusion. And
absolutely. Yeah.
that's why seeing the microtransaction helps you be able to identify clearly what this person is standing on,
Mm.
right? That's why.
Okay. I mean, again,
Yeah,
I agree. I don't think we're in disagreement with any of us with that. I think it's
yeah,
just one of those things where it's like, it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, there's somebody who was just trying to express their art, a minor at that.
yeah, yeah,
And now they're
yeah.
catching the flack of something that they, again, we don't know for sure, but say it's a pretty safe bet that that was not their intention to replace Okarun with his dark skinned counterpart, you know? But to move the topics on to a lighter, brighter, anniversarial game show awards. I think we'll take a different approach to this as far as, like, I know we tend to do here's the good and the bad, but I think to kind of give Jeff Keighley his props, because I do think overall it was a good show. Let me ask you, fellas, what were the things that you thought about overall with the show, and tell me what things you would have maybe changed or didn't like, and then we'll end with the things that we did like about the show.
So what we didn't like,
What you didn't like, or what would have been a better, what you would have liked to have seen instead with some of the aspects of the show.
I mean, it's every. You mind if I go?
Go ahead.
I mean, guys, man, were you really expecting anything? I mean, we're not in the best place of like the Goldilocks zone to find air and water in the gaming space, you know? So I wasn't really, I wasn't really expecting too much from the Game Awards because, we didn't really have much, to go off of, this gaming cycle, this gaming generation. Um, so what I think I don't want to see as much actors.
There was
You
barely any
know,
actors this time this year.
there were barely any actors this time. But less games with actors, like established actors, if that's correct. If Because
I
I don't think it's fair, man. I don't think it's fair.
I think I
I
know
would,
where you're going, but it's a
you
tricky
know,
thing, because you're right. I think what's starting to happen now is we're starting to see what happened with the movies of, like, here is Aaron Paul of Breaking Bad, right? Here is, like, because again, we know Troy Baker because we're gamers, right? He's
yeah.
a celebrity within the gaming space, right? So you hear his name and you know a certain type of quality, but when you start saying, here is so and so, here is such and such from these movies, it does diminish a little bit of how are they as gaming characters, right? If I see the guy from, I don't know, again, Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul. Like, if I see Aaron Paul and the on-screen version is which it wasn't, but if it was a video game depiction of Aaron Paul, I'm like, I'm completely already disassociating myself from this character.
I don't want it.
Yeah,
If
all I
I
see is
can
Aaron Paul
see
with
who's in the trailer,
with high
you
renders.
know, yeah, with high renders, I don't want a Star Citizen's budget to go to like, I know where my gameplay went.
Yeah,
I know
I
where my
understand.
graphics went.
That's a fair. I think that's
Um,
a fair critique. I mean, that's not a Jeff Keighley thing though. That's
it's not,
just
no, it's definitely not a Jeff Keighley thing. But, the fact that these games are being featured at the Game Awards versus, I would like to see a category for the indie games, man.
there
I
is a
want the indie
category.
game, no, but a little bit more respect.
I see.
To me,
Okay.
I don't see how they're not, I don't feel that they're giving these guys a presence there.
Mm,
That would help, right? Why do the indie games need to have an indie con? I understand that for those that make it within the bracket of the Game Awards, I would like to see more of that energy being implemented. I think the Game Awards would benefit for having categories for even the niche things. VR, best VR game,
they
you
do
know?
have best VR
They
game.
do? Okay,
Yes.
well. One more,
Okay,
more,
that's fine. But I'm
more,
like, they do have best
more.
VR.
So, best upcoming game. That's cool. That'd be cool too. Uh,
They have that.
they do.
The
Okay.
anticipated, bro.
Most anticipated. Oh,
You're
you're
not
right.
doing
You're right.
yourself no
You're right.
favors right now. So what you're saying is
No,
you
it's
like the
okay.
show because
No, I mean it's okay, but I mean those are my small. Just make it more, put more oomph behind it, because they kind of, you kind of don't spend time, or maybe a little bit of the behind the scenes. Um, pay attention to the jokes that we make within the space of like the memes. I think that'll work more as to getting the jokes across, right?
Mm,
Because the skits aren't working. you
most of
know,
them. I think the
most of the
Muppets were
skits,
used a lot better this year compared to last year.
the Muppets, yeah, and b- you know, b- yeah, yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, I have stuff that I like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wanted to get the
Yeah.
negative out the way first, and then we'll talk about what worked because
So
a
we're
lot of
all
it did
gonna go through
work.
the negative, or we just
I
can I go
mean,
right
I
into the
don't
what
have
I
much
liked?
negatives. I felt like he corrected a lot of the mistakes from last year.
Hmm.
Um, he gave there's always ways that it could be better, but I think he gave enough people the time they needed to speak. We got some beautiful monologues, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The Baldur's Gate creative director one was beautiful, right? The guy who made the spreadsheet for people who were laid off in the game industry, beautiful, right? I think
yeah,
the
yeah.
time was given to the speeches that mattered, which was a very big critique from last year. So to me,
Hmm.
that's why I said let's start out with a negative because I'm like I saw significant improvement from last year,
Hmm.
which to me showed me that okay, Jeff took it seriously. He took it seriously and was like, I can improve and I will improve. To your point, Jory, like it's not gonna be perfect, but this will be better, and it was. So that was why.
Yeah,
So let's start with the negative. And then again, I've said this before when we were talking about the show pre-show. Some more clarification on what warrants a different category would help.
yeah.
Why
That's
is
that's
this game
something that would
action?
would
Why is
that
this game action
yeah.
adventure? Because it does not seem clear. Because some of these nominations, I'm like, I don't know if I, in my mind, would say this is an action adventure game.
Yeah, like for all the fans are saying, Dragon Ball Z didn't win Fighting Game of the Year. That's impossible. Guys, you're not I assume that you guys aren't into the very thing that is called a fighting game.
Right. That
You
means like
guys
the
are party
panel,
fighters.
right? That means the panel picked a Sparking Zero and looked over Under Night. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and that's
Yeah,
to me, it's like
yeah.
that. You're not. There's no way you looked at that game and said this is a fighting game contender. There's no way. Respectfully,
Sparking Water Zero fans, your game's not a fighting game, it's an arena fighter. Meaning it's not going to be balanced. I can pick Gogeta
and go
and
crazy.
and go crazy. They're not going to balance it. Like you're going to do a Kamehameha beam, and I'm going to walk out the way. There's nothing to keep me from
Right.
from taking
Lock.
on this
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
line.
yeah.
It's not I dodged it. I guess you did.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
You flew
If
vertically in this massive
unless
arena.
unless the Kamehameha beam come out like a sniper rifle,
Right.
it's not happening. It's not happening. So, I'll go into my positives real quick before, we pass it over to Tim. No, I actually like there was a lot of improvements. I think the Muppets were utilized in a great way because they pointed out a lot of the flaws that the previous Game Award has in a joking manner. So he's able to acknowledge and joke about it,
Hmm.
which was great. A lot of they just need to be more clear on, what's a game, what games are gonna do X, Y, Z, and what they are. But as far as the Game Awards in total, as far as structure, it's getting somewhere. I value the Game Awards, and I'm not always I gave leniency for the past years that it was coming out because it was under a new direction, and the gaming industry was going through a drastic change. Like there's no more E3. And I think the Game Awards is something to keep alive because, I mean, who else was going to do it? Nobody else was willing to invest. You got Microsoft and Sony who don't even care about, well, let's just save our money. Who cares about a social? Everything's going digital everywhere. That human aspect of what make games great.
Hmm.
I think at least the Game Awards has a piece or a remnant of that. E3 was a convention for gamers for certain people, at one point. Yo, we get to see what the games are coming out, man. Like you were in the who's who,
Hmm.
and then the whole article. I remember every E3, we were like, yo, man, E3 is 3 days of just games, and it was yeah, I couldn't be there, but I can turn on my cable television, and or we could watch it online, and we can just see the games that are coming out. I felt it created a culture to where like, yo, man, yeah, we might not get this game out right now, but we could make it during E3. All eyes are on us at this point. They're gonna remember
Mm-hmm.
what we played, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that social aspect, which it as much as people don't think it matters, it does matter because it puts an impression on people like, yo, this is what it takes to make a game. The advertisement, the community, man, we're losing that aspect. Like, like kind of like how we made that joke about us going after we streamed the Game Awards. It felt like we were Saturday morning or Saturday night sleepover, 64 split screen. Everybody got their controllers, either Diddy Kong Racing. Those things you can't express that to the generations before that's coming after us.
Mm.
And I think the Game Awards is a bridge to that. And if Jeff keeps it up, it'll have people will see a necessity for it, for these conventions to come back again. And I would love to see these things to come back and be resurrected. It's a social aspect that you can't put money on, and unfortunately,
I would say
they put money,
they
they
also
put
they
money
did
on,
put money on
no, unfortunately, yeah,
it.
no, unfortunately they do. But I think it's, you get more of a return,
I agree.
when you do these
I
things.
will
So
agree.
I respect Jeff for preserving something like this and actually making the effort to make great change. And I think if he continues this, it's only going to get better from this because people are going to see that, hey, you did great. You really care. Let me hop on this.
Yeah.
Let me
And
assist
yeah.
you in this, preserving this culture of gaming.
Mm-hmm. Tim, all right. Your runway is yours, bro. Give us your negatives and your positives.
I mean, well, y'all pretty much covered a lot, so I would just simplify this. I was just watching the show for the world premieres. That's all I wanted. I wanted to see what is really coming. Where are we going? Especially, after I announced my retirement.
Mm.
I just wanted to see what is getting my last few investments, and I was happy with what I saw. I was very
Yeah.
happy.
A lot of it definitely seemed current gen focused, which was good.
Yeah. Like when I kept saying PS5, 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 and I said, you know what? Thank you. And let's just move on. And that's pretty much it, man. Like I was my expectations were very low. I just wanted world premieres. That's all I wanted.
Okay. I mean, again, I don't have anything else to add. I thought it was a good. I think the everything else feels like nitpicking. Right? I could have done with a lot less Genshin Impact lookalike ads, but that I could have said that same thing about last year when everything was a medieval first person fighter. Right? It's like there's always certain things that like you gotta find that balance of like, Jeff, this is your fourth Fortnite ad tonight. I know they got the money, but come on. Like you don't need to. We all know what Fortnite is. Everyone in this room knows what it is. You don't got to advertise it anymore. So I think there's stuff like that. I was like, I'm sure they'll kind of tweak it along the way. Were there any upsets for you guys based off of the winners in certain categories where you're like, how? Okay.
Refantozio for best art direction. Like, you just came out.
Well, we called it when we were making our theories.
You just
Art direction has
yeah, we
nothing to
did.
do with anything else. It could just be design. That UI, like I said, that UI looks amazing. That the main menu screen alone could be on a wall somewhere. Like it's hard to like.
My only complaint was some of the nominations. It's just like I gotta say it out loud. Star Wars Outlaws. I was like, bro, who voted for this?
Ubisoft.
Who? Like, and you could just tell. You could just tell us like you could just tell us the money politics is like. But then you have one game that you basically just abandoned, but is actually winning.
Yeah.
For something that is just should have never even happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, we need some more transparency about what made y'all put this game in this category. How did this beat out all the other contenders to be the one to be nominated? I definitely think that needs to be explained more. Really, my only pushback was, and I still feel conflicted on this. Like, I don't know if Astrobot should have swept the way it swept. Although I'm glad for what it means for the industry of like, okay, thank God we're taking platforms
it deserved
seriously.
it for me.
Right. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm like, it should, but I wanted this to win, but I'm not mad at this choice, but I wanted this.
No, it deserved it, man, because and it goes back to what we were saying in the chat earlier today, that AA games still serve a place.
Yes.
That everything does not have to be a AAA 6-year development
Right.
to win something or to be up something substantial, bro. The gameplay was very interactive. It was quirky. It had like PlayStation Legacy was built into that.
Mm-hmm.
And with this support, that means it could just go even further.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see. It deserved it. It deserved it. I mean, it was up against some decent competition, but at the end of the day, bro, the quality spoke.
Yeah. Again, I'm not mad. Like, I'm not like, let's argue, Tim. I'm just like, in your mind, you're like, I kind of wish Rebirth had won some more awards, but I understand. Like that was just my mind upset of like, dang, I don't see how ReFantazio beats Rebirth in best RPG, but okay, sure. I didn't think y'all had a cloud-like character in your game, or a Aerith, or a Tifa, but right, I also didn't play your 100-hour game, so what do I know, right?
I guess on the bright side, I'm glad it got recognized and it helped because somebody going on a search list, hey, what are the top XXYZ games?
Right.
Out, and then that's being there, and they say, well, I think I like this more than ReFantazio. I'll get this.
Yeah.
So I think it worked, especially with the 200% sale.
Yeah, which is what I said.
And is it on PC?
And it's on PC in January.
Yeah, it's gonna take off, and I just want people to recognize this game because this game is directed well, man. I'm surprised at how it's directed so well in a way to where I feel like a kid again when I play this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing it right now, and I play it when I have time to play. I don't, if I know I'm heading out the door, I'm not gonna pick up the control because I feel like I wind up canceling my plans.
Mm.
And so it's directed in such a well way. Man, the effort that they put into this game is 200%.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for the next installment.
Mm-hmm.
I already got I'm just trying to rush through this one to really play the meat. Yeah, to play the meat and bones of what I want. Because I know me, man. If I'm having fun with this, I'm definitely gonna have fun with the next
You
installment,
will,
man.
for sure.
And so, I'm excited. And I think, the directors, even the director of Wukong, man, I heard they took it to heart.
Yeah, he took it.
Boy.
He took it personally. He's like,
oh no,
y'all saw that statement. I didn't win the game of the year. I felt like a waste. I was like, yo, we're grateful, but
I think he shouldn't have. I think it was premature to release that statement, man. I think somebody should have.
Someone should have tapped him on the shoulder. Yeah.
No,
Go ahead and log out for me.
Don't say that here.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. You're not looking in the best of lights.
Yeah.
Because now Bandit Keith is gonna be like, you really thought that's all it took to win the game of the year? You're gonna have to try harder than that.
Right.
You don't want Bandit Keith to answer you, man.
Now you're under a microscope.
Now you got a whole bunch of Bandit Keiths putting up their bandana to be in the American you want them to be. You know what I'm saying? So
not on your first attempt. Take it easy.
Hey, listen, you guys made it within you guys should give yourselves a congratulations and use this as motivation.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Final Fantasy team wanted that too.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they're gonna go back, they're gonna say, yo, listen.
And notice they didn't say a word. I was like, all right.
They went back. We gonna learn Chidori and the Rasengan with our toes. And y'all gonna taste off our full karate kick, man, the horse kick to the face, the first of its kind. And I think that's the energy I think it's great. It brings forth competition.
Which is always healthy. I'm a big fan.
Which is always healthy.
You can't go wrong without the competition.
And I just don't think I'm kind of getting tired of the Sparking Zero fans, even though I love Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. But I understand it's just frosting. It's just frosting on a cake.
And frosting is delicious. But you know what
delicious.
It is.
But I know what it is. That's it. It's me going to 7-Eleven and getting a bag of marshmallows and just... It's a treat.
Mm-hmm.
It's a treat. It's not Tekken or Street Fighter to where I'm getting a steak. It's not Under Night to where, hey man, you know what? I may not be able to afford that meal. Am I gonna go to Wendy's? No, I'm gonna go to my local mom and pop shop where they use 100% Angus beef. Right? Right? The owner of this mom and pop shop is a ex Royal Castle or ex 20 years
Used to
down the
be a private
line of,
chef. I had a dream, and
and so, Dragon Ball Z is exactly where it deserves to be. In the, hey, pool for 15 to 15-year-olds who want to play this game, 15 to 5-year-olds who wants to play this game, and hey, man, have fun, right? I don't care that Mario Kart's not Frozen or Gran Turismo, but I'll never talk crap about Gran Turismo and say, we didn't win Racing Game of the Year? Hey, yo, Gran Turismo's for big boys, dude. Okay? Frozen's for big
people
boys.
with
You know
spending
what I'm
power.
saying? People who actually want to master something, right? You know what I'm saying? People who don't lose hope when they see the Tekken controls and they're trying to figure out what star mean.
Right. Or you see
Give it to
the
the
arrow
Harvard graduate of
go
fighting.
this way and then swing back that way. You're like, oh god.
So give it to the Harvard graduate where you have a hard time putting in guile inputs. Look at this rookie, right? Your one button punchers. Come on,
Yeah.
man.
Well,
You
let's
know?
talk about some of the trailers. Tim said he was here for some of the world premieres. Let's kind of go in somewhat of a sequential order. Dotemu back at it again with a Ninja Gaiden faithful reboot.
I don't think that's the developer because
They're
I
they're
realize
not
it's
making the game, like themselves are not making the game, but they're like it's kind of like what was it? There's another game like this where it's like they're involved but they're not making it.
okay.
Yeah. I think they're like they're doing the sprite work and someone else is developing the combat system.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you see their name, but you're right. They're not actually making the game. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden, side scroller. Are we hyped? Mid?
Oh,
I like it. I like it. It looks very
100%.
challenging, especially when you get into the nitty gritty of the combat mechanics. And also, to be honest, I'm liking that it's something much more simple. Because to be honest, like Ninja Gaiden, I would say the Sigma series was kind of hit or miss for me.
Mm-hmm.
Disappointed.
Like, and to be honest, I do feel like maybe a lot of these companies are trying to bounce back in ways, because especially they seen how Sega is doing it, they seen how Capcom is doing it, so they're just putting stuff out there, to gain some capital with something very short and sweet and to the point. And I think that's exactly what it is. The beat 'em up genre is back in full force. Still hit or miss. Still hit or miss.
Never left.
Still hit or miss for certain people.
Yeah. Putting money behind
these
it kind
companies,
of left.
These companies are just late to the party, as they always are.
It's not even that. It's like, let's just call it for what it is. Even if City River Girls is fire, it's not Shredder's Revenge for just IP recognition alone. And that's not a dig at them. It's just, it is what it is. I want to see everything that you're doing with this, but as Leonardo. It's just what it is, right? Like, we can call a spade. So, sorry, Tim, you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm looking forward to it, man. I really am. I'm looking forward to it.
Same. I was like, Dotemu has not missed in my eyes. The two games I bought from them were both fire. So, anything they're overseeing, anything that they're putting their brand on.
What games you bought?
Streets of Rage 4, A1, Shredder's Revenge, A1.
Okay.
Again, I really want to see them do like an X-Men 97 beat 'em up. I would love to see their take on that. I would pre-order. I would wish list from day one if they did that.
Oh no, they're gonna have to go ham with that one. That's actually frightening.
But the thing is that they would. Like, they're like platinum games in their prime of like when you see that little P plus, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
She's a stripper with hair and summons demons. I'll be there.
Oh, that's funny. I'm happy. Y'all know I'm a Ninja Gaiden fan, man. The Three Kings, man. It was Ninja Gaiden, Prince of Persia, Devil May Cry 3. Those all of them giving me different gameplay, but still unique and challenging enough in their own right. Ninja Gaiden Ninja Gaiden probably is my favorite out of the three. But Devil May Cry took that spot because they didn't produce anything after that. Ninja Gaiden 2 is probably my second favorite. But as far as what I'm seeing here, man, I think this is gonna give the Team Ninja uh good grounds as far as when it's time to they obviously want to make a Ninja Gaiden game. It's right there. The fact that they're going back to what made them be able to what they did back in the 2000s, they're going back to that formula is a good sign. There's recognition there.
Mm-hmm.
What I saw from the gameplay, oh my goodness, I am excited. I
Yes.
am happy.
Unapologetically violent.
Oh, it's not, but it has some of that 80s, Guyver, Devilman, Sailor Moon, Yu Yu Hakusho-esque design, that unique,
Yeah.
design from the 80s. And
Unapologetic. It's just like
I just don't think you get that anymore, that art style. And there's
mm,
appreciation for that. So I'm excited for this one, man.
keeping
They're gonna
things
do a fabulous job.
in like the classic noticeable IPs getting their moment. Are we here for what seems to be like a Metroidvania style Pac-Man influence game? Because that was kind of like, I'm not sure what this is.
It's the perfect genre to do it.
Yeah, I'm like, Pac-Man I think can be kind of molded in a lot of different ways since it's irrelevant in the sense of like, there's no, I wasn't looking at the trailer like, that's not my Pac-Man. You know, I'm like, what does that even mean these days?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't really. Yeah, I wasn't either.
I believe it could
3D.
work. I believe it would work because there's been a lot of Metroidvania style games that are just actually very deep when you really look at it, bro. Just the scaling of the world, what you're trying to achieve from level to level. So I do feel like it's creative enough, but it's going to deliver a different experience. And I think that's the key here. Because, you know, we keep talking about like, oh, I'm tired of these remakes. I'm tired of these remasters. We want some form of innovation. And I feel like that's what we are getting.
Yeah.
Like, for example, because I know we probably ain't going to talk about it, but I feel like I should mention it. The Lord of the Rings Animal Crossing Sims game. I think it's dope. I think it's dope. It's very, like I said, short, sweet, to the point. You know, you pick the Shire. Oh, yeah, you know, a bunch of people just gardening all day and having a collective community together. Animal Crossing. Cool. Straightforward to the point.
Yeah.
Because that is actually a niche for people. People enjoy
the like Animal Crossing fan base is huge.
Yeah. You put a certain IP on it. You know, Lord of the Rings, cute little hobbit people, straight to the point. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
It kind of felt like, to some degree, in almost like a something kind of almost unconsciously course correcting itself. It felt like a lot of the awards this year were still safe in the sense of like it's recognizable IP, but riskier takes on it, right? So like, even for example, like Okami 2 getting announced. It's like Okami has never set the world on fire in sales. It's a fan favorite. It's a cult classic, but that's just the truth, right? It's like, it's a beloved thing. It's a recognizable thing. But the fact that they're like, we're going to make an Okami 2. The fact that they're like, yeah, we're going to try Onimusha again. You know, the fact that they're like, hey, Turok Origins, we're doing it. It's like, what? Okay.
To be honest, when I first saw Turok, because that's what I chimed into the chat. Like, once I saw that Native American, bro, I was like, this is Turok. This is Turok.
Same here. Same here. I said the same.
I was a bit concerned about why they give them guns, but when I saw that gameplay of how intense them battles were, I was like, yeah, you're gonna need a gun because
Turok.
Yeah, I was like, but yeah, that bow and arrow angel gonna work with this superplex triceratops running at you.
Horns on fire and just like you.
I mean, Turok was always, to me, you know, there was two games. People would say GoldenEye, but I said no. Turok multiplayer was fire, and Turok had multiplayer. Turok had guns that could rival Doom, man. Like the Doom games that's in 3D.
That's the feeling that I had. It's like, this is like almost like a Dune scale revival of Turok. So I'm excited for that one.
Same. Because to me, like I was saying to Jory during the stream, I'm like, for some reason, especially with games, like movies, I get it. But like with games, like you can't go wrong with dinosaurs. It's your bag to fumble. A T-Rex is always gonna be cool, unless you make it not cool.
You know, Capcom was looking at that trailer, so y'all like dinosaurs.
We thought we was getting Dino Crisis when we saw that game called I
feel like Exoprimal was them testing the waters.
Yeah, and we was like, we don't want this.
Right. Dinosaurs falling out of a portal while I put on my Gal Robo skin. It was not really what I expected.
Had you changed it to aliens, it would have sold more.
Yeah,
that would have been y'all you would have got the same respect of the Helldivers.
Right.
But you guys wanted to be weird.
But kudos for trying. Right. Like I'm glad y'all tried it.
That could have been a stage.
Yeah.
But not the overall.
Right, like a horde mode. Yeah,
not the horde mode. You know what I'm saying? That could have been a stage, but y'all making me fight. You know, I'm like, no, these dinosaurs don't stand a chance, buddy. Especially with these suits, man.
Right, I'm hitting the Ryu Shuriken on the Spinosaurus. Come on, fam. Like, I'm in the G.I. Joe Ryu.
Y'all gave me a G.I. Joe cyborg Ryu. Y'all seen what I do as a human. Now y'all want to add Chun-Li and Ken and Guile? Good luck, man. And no rules in the street fight.
And the T-Rex still got the stubby arms. Oh, it's over.
Oh man, yeah, you not even Agumon. You not Warwick Greymon.
Right.
Oh, you done. No, so now
someone call Peter.
Man, listen.
This is animal abuse.
Listen, because listen, I refuse to play Ark because I said, yo, y'all trying to be Turok and y'all not. Just ask for Turok. When I see Ark, I'm like, yo, y'all trying me. I purposely did not play Ark. Because I said, I'm not gonna play Walmart brand Build-A-Bear Workshop Turok.
Right.
With Vin Diesel on a Tyrannosaurus, and it still didn't come out with Vin Diesel on the T-Rex. You know what I'm saying? Hey, at this point, I said the T-Rex lost. Vin Diesel on the top of a Triceratops is done.
Right.
That junk gonna turn to a Digimon, and he going. We win this like we always do. Like family. Yeah, I mean, it's there.
Right. Together.
You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap. You know what I'm saying?
Borderlands 4, I'm kind of tired of the series. I really am.
It lost.
Y'all notice it was dead silent in that room when he was playing. Even when he came out, everyone was kind of like...
You know what I heard? You know what I heard when I saw the trailer? I watched the movie. I watched the movie.
I thought you were going to say you heard the...
Yeah, I watched the movie. Yeah, that Halo.
It's like, yes, it was very cinematic, chaotic, but I kind of feel like the series peaked with Borderlands 2, and everything else after that was just whatever. Like the Borderlands 3, it was just all I really saw was a bunch of DLC, and that's it. But I
you
never
don't remember nothing about them.
Yeah.
No handsome Jack presence, nothing. No, it didn't have to be that, but. Where's like you obviously have to make your villains interesting. That's gonna push the game and push these characters, and that wasn't there with these streamers.
And then to be honest, the looter shooters, like it just kind of gives me like that Suicide Squad PTSD. Like yes, I know Borderlands does a much better job, but it's just not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea.
I think they have their work cut out for them for sure. I think if they want to make this something, it's like more Borderlands is not going to get it done.
Those characters got to be interesting, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Borderlands, the original Borderlands came out at the perfect time because they can push, they can test the waters, they can push. They were more extreme, right? Versus now, I feel like we're going to get a very, I don't know. Can we say this? Can we say that? And the way Borderlands is designed, it doesn't work that way if you don't go full throttle, Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like, let's not tippy-toe around this anymore.
Wait. No, wait. We want to get the smaller topics out because I know we're going to be here for a while. The question I had written down before we get here, do you guys feel like PalWorld can keep this up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a wrap.
It's not a wrap. It's not a wrap.
They're becoming they're coming into knowing who they are, and I'm seeing ideas coming into play.
It's the simple fact that y'all made Pokemon take a whole year off.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot, bro. You have console support, you got PC support. I feel like it's going to get like a lot of like, you know how like Genshin Impact was just like, it just took off like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is, bro. Because like, to be honest,
Yeah.
they know it's the gimmick that, you know, you're just ripping off Pokemon and now Digimon off of a bit.
Boy.
And I think that's the gimmick that people like. Because when I was watching this trailer, I was like, bro, that's definitely Lilligant. That's definitely Zoro. Oh, Leomon?
Leomon. Teemu
Leomon.
Leomon.
Training
Sheen
Leomon.
Leomon.
I get to train
Right.
Leomon.
I'm going to teach you the Fist of the Beast King myself. Come on. Let's go.
And we get to do it together? Oh, come on. Yo.
And I think it just made people smile to see that. Like it's like, yeah, it's a gimmick to an extent. But
It's a gimmick.
it's like
You know
people,
what it
yeah. It like people love it though. It's like people are like, all right, which new mon are they going to release next that I'm going to immediately identify?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you see what you said there? I'm gonna go a little bit further. It tickles something we always wanted to play around with, but what company would make it, right?
Yes.
You know
Because
what? You
it
know what it
just
reminds me of? Like, you know, when fans are inspired by a piece of work and they do all this fan art of their own and post it on Twitter. That's what I feel like PalWorld is. It's
Yeah.
the fan art has finally come to life.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I always had this design for a Ghost Eevee. Oh, Nintendo, how about this? Like, nope,
Right.
nope. Okay,
This
sell it.
hey,
Arceus
hey Power
aspect
World,
is fire. Let's expand on this. No, we're not going to
Hey,
do
if
that.
Power World opens a Discord and say, "Hey guys,
What would you like to see? It's
what would you
over.
like to see?"
It's
Hey, God,
It
what
is
would
a
you like to
wrap.
see?
It is a wrap. Oh yeah, send us some of your design options. Bro, them Pokemon people are about to
Yep.
take everything.
Tim,
Take
you will finally get
everything.
your Eevee evolution line.
I always wanted to see Eevee and Leomon join forces. Oh, really? All right.
Right.
And dog, they're helping you build the house. I could fight. I said, man, well, I'm tired of Moltres beating up my Zapdos. I'm gonna punch Moltres. But how you gonna do that? With
Right.
a super suit on me?
Right. Or what are the real world implications of these legendary Pokemon that can affect the ocean? what humans got to be involved in that somehow. I would
If
assume
Kyogre decides to wake
to
up,
have a bad day. It's over.
you got Geostorm 5. My boy, with Moltres and
The day
Growlithe
after
and
tomorrow.
Growlithe, the day after tomorrow, the day after Zapdos, the
Yeah.
day after Lugia, you know what I'm saying? The day after Entei. What happens when you make a Pokemon genetically modified Mewtwo? You saw what Mewtwo was doing
Right.
to detective Pokemon? I said, yo, dog, if they ever do one with Kyogre, kid, this is a national event.
Right. You see,
Final Fantasy 15
Entei's going
event
for his morning
match.
run and he sees someone mistreating a Houndoom and he decides he's had enough. Now the world's on fire.
Humans.
Burn it all.
Talking to you telepathically. And an unknown out of nowhere comes just to hit you on the top of the head. Like,
Before creation must come destruction.
and you got to reason with him. And then you going to look for Naruto. Naruto, talk to this man, dog.
Pastor Uzumaki, please.
Oh, boy.
Okay, I just wanted to ask that question first because again I know this next topic is about to really get to it. Now that we've gotten some of the lesser controversial topics out of the way, fellas, what happens when your favorite fighting game of the year takes one of your favorite legacy IPs and picks the wrong, right, in certain people's eyes, our eyes, spoiler alert, character for their guest character season 1? Talk to me about Tekken 8 and Clive Rossfields.
All right, I'll say this. Right? Imagine this. It's 2022. No, 2021, 2022, borderline. We're at the board meeting. We call Harada. We got this new game coming out, Final Fantasy 16. It's going to be the biggest event in history, right? Right? We're going to make this story better than Game of Thrones. Guess why? And guess what? No black people. Okay? All right? We're going to make this game, and this game is not only going to be an action game, but we're not going to follow any of the plot points or any of the world structure building in 15 and improve on. Even though we did see The Witcher, we did see not Elden Ring, but we did see a couple of games that came out before that provided dungeons, which everybody's asking for, but we're not going to give them that. We're going to give them a straight line. Hmm? In this medieval world that's fantastical, right? We're going to take inspiration from Naruto. Imagine, right? Naruto in medieval times. Okay? And we want you to feature our main character in your fighting game. What do you think?
We love what you did with Noctis.
I saw
Oh,
a
yeah.
conversation about this. Like, you could tell Tekken is like, especially with this last installment, it's entered more of a fantasy realm versus actual hand-to-hand combat, which is very true because I would say this like Tekken 7 and even further into Tekken 8, you could tell the way they were experimenting with characters who use weapons is kind of like, so what are you trying to say about the state of Soul Calibur? Because to be honest, bro, like Yoshimitsu Soul Calibur and Yoshimitsu Tekken are two different people, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Two different people. It's like you cannot compare them. You cannot. It's like light night and day, water and oil. And I feel like both of those properties, like, you know, your left hand, your right hand, serve a very genuine purpose of like, you know, this game, it's all about weaponized combat and the things you're able to do with those weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is, your general everyday brawler, with Virtual Fighter, inspirations, because, it was the template at the time. But then, it kind of feels like they got away from martial arts to now it's just fantasy. And when I say fantasy, bro, is like, okay, the Devil Gene stuff was cool because you were able to ground it a bit. But, that final anime battle, bro, it's just like, okay, I see a lot of Soul Calibur influences. It's kind of giving me Nightmare versus Siegfried all over again. It's like, so what are we doing here? And it's just like, and I saw this character. It's just like, bro, he's a medieval looking character. Why are you putting him in this game?
Who has the power to summon a gigantic fire lion? But go on.
Bro, he belongs in Soul Calibur. Like, just like how you did Geralt for Soul Calibur 6. He's like, oh yeah, here's a guest character on the main roster. Like, that could have been your selling point right there. Like, this was very foolish. Very foolish for me. Like, I gotta say it out loud, that was Tifa's slot. That was Tifa's slot. Yeah. But then now, this has made me really, like, have, like, kind of lose faith in guest characters moving forward. Like, this and plus Mortal Kombat have really stained that type of legacy. Like, I've said this, like, even in the chat, like, after, City of the Wolves and that last guest character for Guilty Gear, I don't want to see guest characters no more. For a good while. I don't. I want y'all to commit to y'all general roster and whatever new characters you want to add to this universe. Because like how you just said, you putting all this emphasis on Clyde, but he's not going to be here afterwards.
And he doesn't.
And I kind of feel like, and I just kind of feel like if that was the last character for this season, this entire season pass was a disappointment.
I'm glad you said that, Tim.
Before we even get there,
I'm glad you said that.
I want to say that to be fair, I don't know if you guys watched any of the Clive reveals and them going over the battle systems of Clive.
I did.
But they already had planned this. That's why I did that whole skit. They had planned this before the Tifa demands even came in.
I know why you did that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you referenced that. That's right.
And They should have asked if is this actually a Final Fantasy game that we're doing here? Because this doesn't Clive doesn't hit any of the Final Fantasy beats, man. And it wasn't the overall arc and success they thought it was gonna be. So they had to follow through with it. So it was man, Final Fantasy's doing what numbers? They're not gonna support the game after a certain. Oh man, this isn't looking good. And that stage, do you know how much that stage costs? What I was seeing in that stage, man, I was heartbroken. You saw my face in the reaction
Yup.
because I said, yo, they got the Titans fighting each other in the background, dog. Like
While you're fighting in real
this
time.
this is where Bruce Irvin and Lei Hulung ever coming into the game and Armored King and Julia or who and they're all dead now. Forget it. They're never coming back. Forget about Tekken 9 anytime soon. Forget about Tekken Tag anytime soon because that's going to be a nightmare. And so,
Uh-huh.
and now I'm more heartbroken because I don't want to fully believe it. I refuse to believe that they're going to give up on Soul Calibur. I refuse to, because it just doesn't make any sense to do it. The
Yeah, because
reason
first,
why it didn't do
yeah, because
great,
to piggyback off your point, they basically said, all right, with Soul Calibur 6, we wanted to reach a certain point to see if you're still interested, and it did. It
it
did.
did, and it didn't
People
do
followed
bad.
through. It
It
is
did
the
well.
best. It is the best Soul Calibur game since 2.
But you can't have that echoing effect if you don't forget a foundation that we always said matters in a multiplayer versus game. Connection. If the online is bad, we have nothing to discuss.
But not just that. Connection with your audience. Right. And I want to piggyback off something Tim said, I think like a podcast ago, of like sometimes you just have to stick with what makes sense. So, like you said, they were planning Clive to be in this game before 16 even released. And again, I'm sure that pitch was amazing. Hey, we got the guy who did Devil May Cry doing our combat system. It's Game of Thrones meets Naruto. I know you guys are going for more anime like feel with the story mode. He's going to have the power of all the classic summons from our game. It's going to do great. And Clive in and of himself is not a bad character. He's in a
Yes.
not great game, but he is not a bad character. The issue is, to Tim's point and to Jory's point, is that Clive is not Tifa. And when I say that, I mean you're taking a risk that people are going to be receptive to this brand new character from a game you haven't put out yet versus, and you can't even say, I don't even want to hear well, Harada didn't know that they wanted Tifa in the game. People have wanted Tifa in the game since they put Noctis in Tekken 7. I've been seeing that since Noctis was in Tekken 7. So you can't act like you didn't know.
Guess what? We don't want Tifa's image to be ruined.
How could it possibly be ruined? You can't lose. You know you were working on a remake. Then we know about the Italian embassy incident. Should I go any further? People and anytime I type in Tekken Tifa on anything, please put Tifa in the game at Harada across all platforms. So you can't tell me you don't. You're making jokes about Waffle House. I know you see it. I know you see it. Now you could argue, maybe it was a lot more expensive to get Tifa in the game versus Clive. Da, da, da.
It takes time. It takes time. But y'all spent more money on Clive. I
Exactly.
know. Clive took out 4
Exactly.
possible characters. That deal took out 4 characters and 3 stages that we could have gotten in Tekken.
Because they gave
Alone,
him
man.
everything. I watched that video. They gave him every single
I
power
could
he
not
has in that game.
believe. So what's now? And nobody moves. out of the way fast enough to dodge that particle beam cannon.
Right. He has the Bahamut Mega Flare Beam. He has Odin Zanzetsuken. He has the Phoenix Wing. He has Leviathan. And don't forget Ifrit in the Tekken
and the
universe.
dog.
And the dog. He is the most fleshed out guest character probably ever. And it's just like, but you could have just put in Tifa. And it's not a subversion of expectations. It's not like, I remember like Dory was like, oh, they could have gone with Sephiroth, which I think would have been a weirder take, but a safer take in comparison of like, we want to put in this Soul Calibur like feel. Let's go with a proven, entity type thing. You picked an unproven character off the strength of the pitch.
Man.
And like Tim said, after having an underwhelming season, when Eddie Gordo's squad leader won, Lydia is the most forgiving person on the planet. Heihachi's alive. This was not.
Oh my gosh, man.
And then let's go back to the past installment. Okay. Tekken 7 Season Pass 1. Oh, Tekken Bowling. Should have been in the base game.
But okay.
Should have
I'll
been.
forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll forgive you.
Next character. Noctis. I'm like, huh? See his gameplay? And then here comes the coup de grace. You hear that voice, you see that stage. Geese Howard and Tekken.
Geese Howard and Akuma are in the same game that they are not contributing to. But this one. Butter on bread.
Yep.
It's like
bread.
how do you go from that to this? And like I said, bro, like Clive, like he's not a bad character, but it's just he's in the wrong place because
he's in the wrong game.
We've said that with NetherRealm. Like sometimes, bro, y'all decision making is just very off, just very off.
You don't want to subvert expectations with an invested, paying fan base.
And you know what else I'm gonna say? It also infuriates the fans who want to see a Soul Calibur, because now you're telling them without telling them that, hey guys, this will never happen. Because I didn't come to Tekken for weapon based combat. Yoshimitsu's the only person I'm gonna allow. Yoshimitsu, okay, I'll allow Vincent. He's an anomaly. I know, because we can't put Noxus in the game. Here's something else you guys could get. That's fine. I'll take Vincent. He's the Raven leader. Okay, I'm not as mad. Master Raven had a sword. That's fine. I'm okay with.
Even how they did John Wick Nina sometimes. It's in her combos, not she just.
It's in her combos. It's not her just going off and shooting. You know what I'm saying?
She's not Trinity.
And it makes sense. She's an assassin, right?
Yeah.
She has to deal with the guy with a devil gene. You know what I'm saying?
She needs every advantage she can get.
She needs every advantage she can get.
Yeah.
And if you got Claudio, who's a
Quincy.
give me the
a Quincy. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He was a Quincy shooting an arrow that can subdue a demon, because he's an exorcist. That man prays in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? He going to church, taking communion with pride. You know what I'm saying? And now for you to tell me, or for you to put this character who would fit perfectly in Soul Calibur, like, I think you guys, Namco Bandai needs to say, like, there's something here. You guys didn't give Soul Calibur a budget it needs to make an impression on people.
Mm-hmm.
You remove some of the greatest things about Soul Calibur and you didn't put it into this game. Soul Calibur having that turn-based strategy gameplay, why not? Evolve on that. That's something to work with. That's unique to this game, right? You can do stuff like that. It's okay, because now these versus games, period, they need more offline play. They need things that are offline. We talk about Mortal Kombat not having offline value, single player value, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't. They don't have single player value. And I think with Weapon Master and Soul Calibur 2, you got that. You got Ascensions of the Tower of Ascensions, going through each floor, it being different. That's something to have. That's interesting. That's fun to play. If I don't feel like playing, this provides me a different challenge. Weapon Master, I was on that thing until I beat it. That thing was Soul Calibur 2 is you pick whatever weapon you have and it's like a little RPG. Soul Calibur 3 had the turn-based strategy game. It wasn't the best, but you guys have something to work with to make it count now. Right? Why isn't
But I think because
that
we want to avoid like a whole recap of Soul Calibur, I do think that the decisions with Soul Calibur shows where things are going left a little bit with Tekken. Of like
yeah.
these same decisions that are not allowing you to fill this obvious gap in a weapons based fighting game genre, right? Because we don't have anything else to play that doesn't involve fists right now.
And so that's where the Tekken Force money went to.
That's where anything else went to. Of like I said, it's like I think it's one of those things where it's like you kind of got to go with what works. And this first season, to me, right? Because again, we heard the reactions to Heihachi trailer initially, but the execution was, let's just call it what it is, horrible. So I'm like, you have consistently throughout this season taken these characters and made the wrong decision again and again and again and again. And Tekken 8 is such a solid game that I think they have a chance to turn things around. But to Tim's point,
It's not dead.
It's not dead. But I think to Tim's point, like now, a guest character doesn't get it done. Because even if we get Tifa in season 3, it no longer matters.
Too late.
You've already fumbled all of that goodwill unnecessarily. For no reason.
And now we want to see what we're getting in this pack. I don't want a mystery guest season anymore. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. If I don't know who's in this season, I don't want it.
Now you're no longer loyally buying season 2 because you're like, nope, can't risk it this time.
And then you're gonna blame the players inadvertently. Well, nobody bought season 3, guys, so this is right. This is a wrap up. It wraps it up from here. I'm like, well, guys, you guys need to. We want to know what we're getting. Can we mix and match certain pack? Can we select what fighters we want? And so this is my sandwich. I don't want a mystery sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what toppings are in my sandwich now. I can't leave it up to you anymore.
Right.
You don't change the flavor. You know what I'm saying? You're charging me this much money. You don't change the flavor on the meats. Y'all don't want to give me turkey anymore. Y'all want to give me your soy patties. I'm angry. I'm angry.
But it has the same texture as Rank.
No.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. I think in closing, to move on from this topic, I think it's just one of those things where it's just unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate to see Tekken tripping over their own shoelaces again and again and again, where to me, I'm like, you should be clearly lapping the competition and you just will not get out of your own way. And again, I don't think any of us are throwing any shade on Clive. I just think when Clive's only claim to fame is a divisive game at best, you don't do yourself any favors putting him into this game.
Yeah, like I refuse to play. It's hard for me to play 16 because it's like I know I'm not gonna. There's no point for anything. Like I'm doing the same redundant combos. You give me a lesser version of the game you flourish in.
Yeah, because then you look at Rebirth and you're like, but what?
Right? You look at 15.
A 13 hit combo with world. Cloud. Who then put Tifa on his sword, threw her into the air. She's doing a drop kick. Like
it's just me. There's no other characters I can play as.
No it's elemental damage. No elemental I can't turn into any other summons. I can just use their powers. It's
use their powers. I can explore the world that you're telling me is so amazing. Right? But when I see one of your games called Forspoken, I see how interesting their world is, and I'm like, man, this would have been nice if they applied some of this world into this world. You had Final Fantasy 15, which wasn't a perfect game, but the Royal Edition makes it a perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
Close enough to. The Royal Edition is a significant jump and improvement. I'm gonna say that, and I'll say that until
and fight off the comments.
Yeah, I mean, you say what you want, you know. We just had such a bad taste with 15 that we couldn't, like, yo, I'm done. We can't support it at this point, you know. It didn't, but at the same time, it sold more. So since it sold the most, we take this formula, we apply it to 16, and we expand on it. Now you're gonna get this Crimson Desert game,
who's gonna take your lunch and feast. Soon they down on those particle effects.
You could, which you could have been
Yeah.
with the budget, and you guys would have made your money back more so. And then you
Yeah.
guys abandoned the game versus try to correct the wrongs that you did with 15. I'm like,
No,
well,
they
they
tried.
corrected
No,
their
they
wrongs.
tried to correct it. It wasn't received well. They put out a PC port, wasn't received well. Dropped DLC, in which you get the powers of Leviathan and the God of the world, and it didn't do well. They tried.
No, I think the problem is the world. The world.
Of
The world
course,
they made. They
yeah,
couldn't add us new combos. Like, oh, new combos, that would have worked versus the
right,
same stale, like one button like an Atari.
yeah. Switching these modes is not what's going to get it done. It's not enough. I've
It's
seen
not
the Odin
enough,
Slash
man.
14 times now. It's not cool anymore.
It's not cool anymore, man. And I don't have any control over what takes precedence. And I could do this in a Bayonetta game.
I
I
think I'll
can
play
control
that.
what I mix and matching with in a Bayonetta game. I didn't
Yeah,
think of that.
yeah,
I can mix and match my combos from every other Devil May Cry game, and I don't see any of that in this.
yeah. Well,
No new weapons, and it's just me.
we'll see what happens with Tekken. I'm kind of with Tim when he was saying in the group chat. I'm like, I think this era officially, unofficially killed. Well, can't say officially, unofficially killed the guest characters, killed the hype to the point of like even guest characters that make sense now. I don't care no more. You know, so
No, we're getting treatment from all sides, man.
yeah, right.
Mortal Kombat ain't helping. That
Mortal
Conan
Kombat ain't doing.
trailer
Yeah, that Conan
was a
trailer.
soda. No fizz.
The first
No
sword
fizz
swing, I
just
said,
cane syrup.
whoo, that looks rough.
That I'm like, this is just Tusk.
Did y'all use the
This
Robin model from the first Injustice game? Oh boy.
kill your enemies, make them suffer, make them bleed.
Hey. But to cap off the awards with some more, I guess, divisive decision making, quote unquote, although I don't see it to the extent that they do, and with one game as compared to the other. How do y'all feel about how the Witcher 4 trailer was revealed or received?
It makes sense.
I like Witcher.
I think it makes sense too.
Because last, like, bro, like, ever since Ciri came into the picture, what do you think what was going to happen to her? Even the Witcher race, like, their numbers are dwindling because of things that happen in the lore. They don't even know how to make more Witchers, so that means they are a dying breed. Here comes this girl who becomes the adoptive daughter of a well-class monster hunter. What did you think she's going to become? And then, of course, in a particular ending, he gives her a weapon to say, like, hey, this is for you to take out on your quests. And of course, it's a CGI trailer, so don't take that as the full master
definitive
product.
thing, right? Yeah. You can even hear Gerald's voice in the trailer. So I'm like, y'all are.
Yeah,
relax.
So maybe he's an advisor figure, just like how his master was for him. But it's a simple fact, or to be honest, you never know. They might even go a Dishonored 2 route. In Dishonored 2, you were able to play as the first main character, but also his daughter. You had a decision at the beginning, the beginning cutscene to choose who. You never know. But it's a simple fact, bro. It's common sense. It is common sense that she was next in line. The witches are a dying breed, bro. And then, to be honest, I kind of feel like they're also coming to the point they want to wrap up some of these stories. So there's no point to deviate from the inevitable. Ciri is next in line.
Yeah. This was not the game I expected to push back on, to be honest, Joe. I'm like, this just makes sense.
No, but that's good. That just shows you how senseless some of this stuff is. just for clicks, bro. Everybody's just doing stuff for clicks, bro. It's like, bro, she makes the absolute sense. So, and then, CD Projekt Red is good in my grace. Like I said, they put that No Man's Sky energy and they got the job done.
I'm like,
I do feel like they're going to learn from their mistakes of what happened with, Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
No, I do.
Third person.
I'll give them that grace. I do feel like they will learn from their lessons of that. The Witcher is a good product. It lasted the PS4 cycle and the PS5 cycle of the upgrade, I would say. But I do feel like it's going to do good. Just like, first of all, it's a CGI trailer, bro. We don't even know when this is coming out.
what her final model is going to look like. And like even what George said in the chat, it's like it's clearly Siri just older. Like I don't,
Yeah.
I don't understand. I'm like, I don't understand this whole like, why do they have to make like downplay her looks? I'm like, are you all serious right now? You can't be
Bro,
serious.
it's a time skip,
Yeah,
bro.
you're not being serious.
It's a time skip. You don't even know what the conditions of the world are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this: the only thing I hope Siri still has that. I like that about Siri. And in the Witcher universe, she had like an upbeat. She was an optimistic. Um, she was optimistic, and she gave that optimistic side and that lighter side of The Witcher. You know,
Mm.
and I love that about Siri, man. I like that she was just a different beat to everybody's personality. You know, in the storyline.
But you
So
know,
that's
the job changes you, bro. Just like
yeah.
how
So
she's like, there's no gods in this world, only monsters. That means something happened.
Yeah.
and
And
y-
So
and
the
I think there's such a thing as natural nuance, right? I think one of the things that we talk about, especially with how we've seen One Piece progress, right? Uh, with Luffy after that tragic incident happens to him, our thoughts was, is this going to make Luffy a darker character? And we've seen Luffy become, I guess, angrier than we would expect from his character, based off of what has happened to him. There's certain trigger words for him now. If you mention his brother, if you mention Shanks, if you mention anything disparaging about his friends, he's going to lose it. Right? You can see,
he turns to Obi-Wan.
yeah.
He turns the real Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he's going to lose it. So I think that's a natural progression of an optimistic character of like that you can still have that optimism without acting as if you're blind to the realities of the world or the realities of what's happened to you. Right? Those things do change you.
yeah, I never thought that that's why I liked her character so much. I didn't think she was blind to those things in The Witcher. She never came across as like that, as that. You know, she just seemed she she just gave me the impression that she's not going to let any of this get to her. If it affects her, it's going to be for a short while. She knows how and who she wants to be. That's what I like. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
but
saying?
I
And
don't think
she
there's anything from
enjoys
the trailer
adventure.
that betrayed that though. I think in that
No,
situation
I,
it was
I just
justified.
no, in that situation it was justified, but that saying what Tim's saying, you know, only monsters. Yeah, I don't know if this is because that's what Geralt said,
Or
or if
because
that's
she saw the
because
girl she tried to save get murdered still. That's
yeah, no, oh,
again, like I said,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
you see that moment of injustice and you're like, again, not gonna take me out of who I am, but it's a trigger. So like Tim said, something happened where like I can't just turn a blind eye to this anymore.
Yeah,
This
Yeah.
does get to
I
me
can't
a
be a
little
kid.
bit. Yeah.
I can't be a kid anymore.
Yeah.
Well, she's not, you know, so she looks significantly older.
That's what
So
again. When
yeah,
I saw the online discourse, I'm like, are y'all being serious right now?
well, I mean, this climate is not it just says, okay, I'm about to get a bad game. People's crossing their fingers, right? They say like, okay, some people are quiet. They say when the game comes out, some people they're saying now this game, I've seen these signs before. Now you got those people that are very volatile and like, yo, this game automatically sucks because she doesn't look attractive to me. I'm like, dog, it's just the lighting, bro. Like, it's
Right.
not that
It's a
serious.
CGI reveal trailer.
She looks like Siri. I never looked at Siri as some, you know, oh man, this is a great CGI looking character. You know what I'm saying? I never looked at Siri that way. I think Siri just looks like your average, you know, woman from that plate, European woman.
Like, bro,
Nothing's too striking about her.
She has a whole scar
She has
over
a whole
her
scar
eye.
on her
Yeah, I'm
face.
like, fam, yeah, y'all
I'm not,
cannot
you
be
know,
serious.
I'm not gonna salivate over that. You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right. Like,
I'm not gonna
just tell me
salivate
you're
over
rage
that.
baiting without telling me you're rage baiting. You know what I'm saying? It's like
You
you
know,
cannot be
to
serious.
me, if we were gonna go CGI faces, nobody looks better than Jill or Ada Wong or off of a real model
Yo,
or
wow,
nobody looks better than those CGI models, in my
that
opinion. You know, so you
It's what you pictured in
so
your head when you're seeing the
and
pictures on
then
the polygons.
when you see when you see the actual actress, she looks 20 times better. Both of them look 20 times better than the actual
What you
face
saw?
scans.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I'm saying? So it's like I
eh.
I don't care, man.
Yeah. Off the reveal, I'm like, y'all are
Be a
bugging.
fan of the real.
Yeah.
Be a fan of the
The
real
real
women,
human
the
being,
real
right? Not
woman,
the
the
fictional
real human
character,
being.
right? Not the collection of
Because the real
polygons.
Ada Wong, the real Ada Wong, my goodness. You
I
feel
can't
me?
fantasize about this
The
made up
real
character, so
Jill.
I'm mad. It's like, what is wrong with you?
That is
No,
crazy, bro.
but I understand if the intent is to like, if you understand this intent is to like upset you, I can see why some like, oh, let's make this black character ugly on purpose. You know what I'm
No,
saying? You're like, yo, you
I'm
know what I'm saying?
right. I'm not going to
If
say that it doesn't happen at any point across the industry. I just think when you like to what y'all both said, this is a reveal trailer with certain
and
type
it's
of
The
lighting,
Witcher.
a
The
certain
Witcher never
yeah.
gave you that type. The Witcher likes to tell a story because they like to tell a story.
You think that this trailer for a game that's probably not coming out to at least 2027 at the earliest is going to look like this?
Yeah, it's not. It's
It's
not. It's not.
not.
It's not. And then they're gonna port this thing out the ground.
Right.
So you gonna get 20
It's the
versions
next step
that's
in another
improved.
trilogy. It's not gonna. It'll look fine. You guys
And you know it's going to be built from the ground up for the PlayStation Pro. You know that extra 45%.
And I would prefer The Witcher over the other game.
Ooh, let's talk about it.
So, you know,
Intergalactic and the Heretic Prophet. The
I am
next.
200% in. 200%. And this is why.
I'm dabbling my toe in
hey,
the water.
hey man.
Well, the thing about it is, bro, all right, Naughty Dog as a whole, look at it. They've done two excellent platformers of our childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at the transition after that. They went to an action adventure treasure hunter scheme. And then, they ended that series off with, because to be honest, I was like, bro, when I first saw the trailer for Lost Legacy, I was like, Nadine and Chloe. They were just two glorified side characters, bro. But
Especially
they
Nadine.
did, but they did delivered. They delivered. I remember that stage where you were just driving around in the Jeep and they were just talking to each other. I was like, bro, like this is great dialogue. No cutscenes. You're just driving around doing all the quests within that hub world. And it's like, look at this dialogue. So that way when the next chapter started to take off cinematically, you are up to date.
Right. You understand why they get along better and things like
So
that.
then The Last of Us comes along. A much more grittier survival horror, post-apocalyptic type of vibe. So you could tell, like Naughty Dog, they take their time. They take their time as they enter new different worlds. Now, yes, The Last of Us 2 had a very dramatic shift due to XYZ. But then I think that was also, to go back into like the universe. This universe is very dark. Like, don't get attached to nobody because you just might not know what happens. And and that shows you in the gameplay that you always had to pivot from your craftiness. Like, how am I supposed to make a Molotov cocktail while this big blob
Right.
of a
It's chasing
mushroom
me.
is rushing me at a linebacker speed?
Right. I got a tin can, some rags, and a lighter.
And it's like, you better make it
Yeah.
work. So now here comes, a sci-fi game with some retro anime type of
Cowboy Bebop, Acura
influences. When I first saw the character, it's like, bro, this is Tati Gabriel. Like,
who is
and
so fine.
I love her as a character because even there was even a Twitter discourse conversation. They wanted her to be Mystique in the new X-Men universe, and I was like, you know what? She has the build for it, she has the allure for it, and she has the voice for it. That very enticing type of voice. To go back to this, she was the sub villain who became the main villain of the Uncharted movie.
Yeah.
Not the best movie, but it worked out. So I'm glad that they picked her up for another project. I get it. People have this weird look about her design, but then, I thought about it. Space Marines. When I was watching Alien Colonial Marines, the second one, a lot of them had shortcuts. It's either that white person buzz cut mohawk or just a fresh shaved prison style cage fighter ball cut. And then, it's based off her character model. She's a bald headed, fake, low cut fade person. And when you look at it, she's a bounty hunter. Like, even when I saw the female bounty hunters in Star Wars, they all had similar hairstyles because when you're in that type of field, hair might actually be something that could turn against you. Like, oh, here comes
No,
some
for sure.
monster just grabs you.
For sure. He gets caught in something, snagging something.
So
I get the thinking behind it.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see where it is. I do have a lot of faith in Naughty Dog for what they're able to do from multiple genres, and I feel like that is the beauty of it. I am interested in terms of, like, I remember when the trailer started, they had a quote from a religion. So I'm interested to see, like, well, how does that come into space sci-fi? But then you just never know. You just never know. The art style looks great. Like I said, it's still a CGI trailer. You don't even know how the actual combat is going to make it. So you have to really look at it as a clean slate to me. And I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. They did a collage of, like, female protagonists that we got during the PS4 cycle and the PS5 cycle. And then when I saw those pictures, I was like, I just got to give that a hand clap. These were actually good female protagonists. They were very, very well rounded. And then, they're showcasing the new ones that are up on the way. They had Siri, they had her, they had the new Ghost of Yote. And it's just like, yes, these are very intriguing things to look forward to, man. Like, I get it. This climate is it's oppressive. It's very, very oppressive. Like, just like how we said with the other conversation. But then, to be honest, bro, don't back down to that, because at the end of the day, you have to stand your ground. Like, when I think of stand your ground, I think of that speech that Magneto did on X-Men 97 about an inclusive world. We share this world. You may not have to like us, but we hold a presence here. And I'm thinking about, what if all the other civil rights movements, or just movements in general for women, if they would have continued to stay oppressed, what would we not have? Like, for an example, in the WNBA, it was a Bahamian woman who won the championship. And she came back home with the trophy and everything, and she was telling young girls that you could really do that. So that really inspired me. And, to see, like, yes, there's so much more that's being opened up to women who are just not backing down to these mindless rants, to these mindless antics, because at the end of the day, they are capable of telling a good story.
Which is true.
And I feel like it's
a proven thing with Naughty Dog, for sure.
That is what the focus needs to be. Like I said, it's a clean slate. And I know some people said there's been leaks. But then, to be honest, I've always taken those with a grain of salt, because I've seen some Pokemon leaks that I could have swore to God was real. But then get that final product. Nope.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, bro, it's the internet. And to go back to, what me and Jory have said, like, from Metal Gear Solid, there's just so much information that is out there now that you don't even know what is real, because people are just pushing it out there just for whatever agenda that they have. Oh, hey, here's my monthly intake of my followers and comments. Yeah, because you rage baited people.
Yes, definitely.
You did it. You did a clickbait header that you didn't even talk about that.
Didn't expand on it. Yeah.
But numbers is numbers. So, like I said, bro, I love it. The music, even the people who are buying it, like, I was like, Porsche. And then you saw Porsche actually posted that on their Instagram. So I was like,
hey, get them Adidas on.
Like, get that buy-in support, bro. Get it.
So here's what I'll say, and it's still an expansion of what I said to y'all in the group chat. I'm with you, Tim. I think if anyone has proven themselves to be able to write competent characters, it's Naughty Dog. I think if anybody deserves the benefit of a doubt as a company, it's them. I'm 1000% with you on that. It's also a CGI trailer. Again, we know nothing about how this is going to play out, which I have a critique for that, but it's not about this game in particular. The thing with me, actually, that is essentially my critique. My critique kind of boils down to two things. The first thing being what I said in the group chat, which was I'm a little nervous with the way Neil Druckmann seems to be very gung-ho with Sony's gung-ho of give us a game that we can turn into a TV show, into a movie, into merchandising. And to me, a trailer like this, where everything is basically, here's our sci-fi setting with this very human, notable, recognizable actor, it's kind of like, okay, so when's the live action movie coming? And that was kind of one of the first little minor red flags for me of like, I think some of this latest stuff that he's done, not that it's bad, it's not bad, but I think it's giving more he wants to make a movie than a game. It's a movie with game elements. It's a cinematic story that happens to have gameplay aspects to it. And Jory and I spoke about this at length during the stream of the Game Awards of like, gaming has such a unique identity to itself that those two worlds do not need to become one, right?
Yes.
Hollywood is burning. The gaming industry, for as much trouble as going through, is still $1 billion industry. It's still producing more than any of the other entertainment genres right now, besides maybe reality TV in terms of just sheer profit margins. So to me, it's like when you have games like this, we also have realized this console generation that everyone is in a monkey see, monkey do style of game making. Is I don't want to then see Microsoft's attempt at whatever Intergalactic ends up being, Nintendo's attempt, this third party company's attempt. I don't want to see movies the video game. Any, like in this next couple of years, I want to see a video game that can have cinematic elements, right? We all love the Uncharted set pieces, but there's a reason why those same set pieces don't work in the Uncharted movie. There's a reason why the set pieces in the Tomb Raider reboot didn't work in the Tomb Raider movie. You're more, like you said, Tim, there's something about you, the player, driving those two women around in that hub world that allows you to connect better with the character because you have some type of control over how they operate within this world. If you're showing me all these beautiful cinematic things, I might as well just put my controller down. So my second other critique on it is more so of like, I think, and I said this to Jory during the awards, is I think the era of the CGI only trailer is dead. I think this whole era of I'm just going to show y'all a little something, no gameplay. Yes, it's in Real Engine, whatever, not using any pre-rendered. That's all great. We know how good graphics have gotten over the years, and Naughty Dog is one of the best at motion capture. I get it. It's just a game. This is not the PS2, Xbox era where this game was coming out next year. This game didn't even have a release date at the end of the trailer. So for all we know, it's 3 years away. I don't want to see that anymore. It was the same thing with The Witcher. I'm like, I don't want to see this trailer where the final product's going to look so different because you're not coming out with this game for another 2 years. You've been working on this. He said it himself. I've been working on this game since 2020. And you don't have a release date at the end of the trailer. You have no gameplay to show us. Maybe they're saving it for a PlayStation showcase that we're supposed to be rumored to be getting. Maybe. Hopefully.
Maybe.
Right? But I'm just like, I think as I was sitting there watching it, I'm like, I don't have a lot of the same objections that the internet has about her having a shaved head. I think everything you said, Tim, made perfect sense to me. I'm like, bounty hunter in space, color. I'm like, I'm with it. I had no objections. I'm like, at this point, show me gameplay. That was pretty much it. Don't show me this movie. I'm tired of the movies. Show me this game that has gameplay. And if the rumors are true and it's supposed to play like an Uncharted in space, that sounds fire. I would like to see that very much. Thank you. So those are my thoughts. S-Rank, you got any thoughts about Intergalactic?
Y'all gonna look at me crazy, but I could live without playing the Naughty Dog game. Um,
I don't think there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, I could live without playing a single one of them. I'll play Uncharted, but I won't go out of my way to get it. Only because there's just things that play the same and that I'm more interested in, or just gravitate, my interest more. The storylines, set pieces, A1, in my opinion, groundbreaking for the time that those things were made. How do I feel about this? I'm on the fence, man. I think gameplay would help,
It would have helped a
especially with
lot.
the environment that we're in.
It would have shut up a lot of
It
the
would have. It would have.
narratives.
But my thing is, man, I was like, I hope it does well because I want my Guardian of the Galaxy too, man. I do. And I think people don't give it this. If you guys can play that, well, I don't see why Guardians of the Galaxy 2 should got a bad rap that it did. I know timing had everything to
I
do
would
with
say
it. It was
timing.
coming off. Yeah, timing had everything to do with it. But that game was so unbelievably amazing that it's one of those games that if you watch somebody play it, you won't like it. And that's the first time I played a game in a long time where I played the game and I was like, yo, this is way more fun. This is way more of a game than I thought it was. So with the Intergalactic, all because of timing. The thing is, the reason why I find it so, I don't think it's wise to make games with these face models that people know, or these actresses and actors, is because now they know who this actor is that's playing this role, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, let's see this. Let's go on this actor's page. Let's say if she says something I like or don't like. Boom. Now
Is
you
this what
get
you're putting in your
more.
game?
Now you get more of a reason. You know what I'm saying? Or for example, say if Jonathan Majors was in a game and they went back in his history, you're putting Jonathan Majors a likeness, and I feel threatened as a Caucasian lady who will chase him. And then there
Mm-hmm.
you go. I don't think for me, I rather the game take an identity for itself because now, I recognize every face and I don't want those things to mend, right? I don't come to games it can have cinematic elements, but I want to play. That's a lot of people's complaint with Metal Gear Solid 4, right? It's more cutscenes than it was gameplay. And so people were furious, and I understand. For me, I couldn't understand it because I looked at it as a piece, but people fell in love with Metal Gear Solid because it was a game. So you can't take that away from what people want. I don't, the same thing going back to Death Stranding. Like, hey, I'm glad these actors are here, but hey, this game better play fire because you forgot you was making a game.
Right.
And so now we
That
got
is
the
a one for
simulator.
one on Norman Reedus. Like,
It doesn't make your characters memorable. The reason why we like Snake and we want to see these IPs is they're making characters that are never before seen before. I don't want to play a game to where I see the actor's likeness and then the voice actor at that. Maybe the actor's likeness is cool, but the voice makes that identity of the character. That's a one for one. But now if it's a one for one, just to me, just like, oh, I'm not interested, man, at all. Um, we'll wait to see. I don't know what the premise of the game is, but if those leaks are true, and I believe they are, because they weren't wrong with the Last of Us leaks
at all.
at all. I think Pokemon. It's okay for Pokemon to have misinterpretation because Nintendo's pretty tight with their. No, whoever works at Nintendo, man, they got the secret passageway, microchip ready to press the button. Suicide. They got Amanda
Writing the
Waller working
code.
there.
Breathe
You know what
into
I'm
this.
saying?
Put your hands here.
But even with like certain things, I think because of the way the character looks, it connects to characters that were exactly what they did not want to play as. The Forspoken character, people were like, okay, I'm gonna get this type of game, and they were right.
Mm.
Because Naughty Dog has such a reputation, you're looking at this game like, okay, can we play a little something different now? We did Last of Us, or Uncharted in Space, something with the retro look. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I think because of today's climate, I would have done things a little bit differently, but it's not my IP. Um, and we'll just have to wait and see. I don't like the fact that I see actors that I recognize in Hollywood. Like, give somebody else a shot. Like, this genre needs to be able to, like, let's have more Troy Bakers. Let's have more people that don't have a name that could actually make this. You took a chance with Kevin Conroy, right? It
Mm-hmm.
worked. Let's see more of that uh golden well, I don't know the term I want to pull on, but let's see more of the diamond in the rough. Let's see more gem. Let's see more gems. Let's see more wild cards. That's what I want.
Yeah, even the,
So
the choice of casting Mark Hamill for some of these roles, it's like you casted uh the Star Wars guy, right? Because that's how he would have been remembered, like the
Again?
Star Wars guy. But then you find out that Mark
Again?
Hamill is like extremely talented as a
Yeah,
voiceover, where you're just like,
which is yeah,
you know, until you got older, you're like, oh, that was Luke. He's the Joker.
yeah.
Wow.
You didn't know. But yeah, I just want to. I don't like this direction because the film industry isn't going well at all, right? Craven, for example, that whole entire movie, you got A-list actors, and they did not save your movie. So
Yeah. All right, we are back after a couple of technical difficulties. I guess another thing that's going to be happening over the break is we will be finding another way to get y'all the pod because we have had enough.
we are outraged. No
Enough.
chance. Play the
Yeah,
Vince
enough.
McMahon theme song music now. Play it
Enough is
now.
enough, y'all. But yeah, I think ultimately that was it's something where I think the overall neutral response is let's just see when it comes to this next Naughty Dog game. Again, I do feel like if any studio has earned that, again, shadow of a doubt, it's them. They've earned it, regardless of how you felt about how certain things. Again, Last of Us 2 wasn't a perfect narrative game, but it was a lot better than some other studios' games.
Oh
You know
yeah.
that, you know, like for it's just because y'all didn't like how they handled Joel or you didn't like what they did with Abby does not make it in and of itself a bad game, in my opinion, at least. But that was our recap of the Game Awards. There was a couple other things we wanted to list, but again, this platform is not conducive to what we want to do, and we want to make sure we try to get out at least the best quality we can to our listeners and our viewers. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and checking in with us and watching the clips. Obviously, we are learning as we go, adjusting as we go, trying to figure out the best ways to put our best foot forward for all of y'all. None of this would be possible without the support of our viewers and our subscribers and our commenters and everyone that gives us feedback. So we definitely want to always make sure that we take some time to acknowledge everybody. And if you celebrate the holidays, I hope y'all have a wonderful holiday. If the holidays are not for y'all, or you know, if you're understandably going through a hard time, I understand that as well. And I hope you're able to at least spend some time with people that you can care and appreciate about them. Because as we all know, the winter months are rough for everybody.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So with that being said, this is the Press Start Select podcast. Viewers and listeners, please enjoy your holidays. Be safe, be merry, drink all the eggnog in the world. I am Antonius DaGamer, Mykale Smith, Super SSS Rank, and we will see y'all in 2025.
Stay alive.